Welcome back to episode 31 of the Living Room Chat podcast with Matt and Ryan in the office today.
I wasn't expecting you to start so quick.
Well, just jumping in.
Shall I lower my chair as well? Because I feel like
lower your chair if you want.
No, because I feel like we're obviously equal partners and hosts in this thing, and
Yeah,
I don't want to be.
I don't want no power play.
There's no power play from me, my friend.
Cool. So,
episode 31. So this episode, we are going to talk about traditional estate agents and their kind of general process. So Matt done is it on the new Threads thing?
On Threads, yeah. I was trying to figure out how to use Threads, and that was my contribution.
So you just typed out some crap, but it's not crap. I thought it was good content, to be fair. So I thought we'll go through it point by point. Cool. So I'll read it out, and then we can talk about it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite useful.
Yeah, let's do that.
So this is a journey on the first. We'll start with the first slide.
Let's go through it. Yeah.
Here's the textbook high street estate agent business model in a thread, which for those of you who don't know is Instagram's rival to
Twitter or X.
Yeah. So Meta's fighting back against X. So that's Twitter. Cool. All right. Excellent. So high street agent business model in a thread. So Matt's put, the office valuer goes to meet Mr. Homeowner. Their job is to build rapport and be bullish about the price their company can achieve. They will lower their fees if needs be, so long as the contract is a sufficient length, ideally 16 plus weeks. With the contract signed, they then move on to new business. So let's talk about that first of all. Do you want to explain your point a little bit more? Or?
Sure. So the office valuer is just there to go and meet Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, sign up the business. Yep, you should use our company. Sign here. Thank you very much. See you later.
It's funny you say, because that was my job for 3 or 4 years when I was valuing Reading.
Yeah.
I listed over 300 houses in a year. That's like nearly one, like for 2 years running as well, by the way. I'd be going out to like 500 valuations. It's like 10 a week. My target was to do like 20 a month, minimum. It was intense. And it's exactly what I do. Become best friends, build rapport. But you're doing so many valuations, you become so slick at what you're saying and the lies that you create. And you say one thing and that really works. It's true. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I did it. Contract sign. Yep, sign here, press R, please. Thank you very much. Go back, upload it on the system. This is on the market. I did a little, what we call chop out sheet. Mm-hmm. It's a chop out. Write down all the points, who's the client manager, and give it to them in the meeting. There you go. Pass them on conveyancing. Another 5 valuations.
Yeah, and that doesn't make you a bad person.
It doesn't. That was my role, and I was very, very good at it, and we were very successful. But the problem is, and this is what I have a massive issue, and I talk about on valuations at all. I used to say to people, look, I'm your guy. I'll be there every step of the way for you, knowing full well that I was going to sign them up and never speak to them again, because there was a branch manager to deal with complaints, and there was staff to deal with the viewings. And senior client managers to do with the offer negotiations. And sales progression as well. What more did I need to do?
It's really interesting for me now being sat here with you, because I've never worked in that office environment.
You nailed this, by the way.
I just came into the business and I looked at, like, that's my perception of how things work.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's actually so true.
I was like, these motherfuckers have been getting away with this for so long. And that was you.
It literally
now
was
here
me.
we are.
And I wasn't the only
team.
one, and that's it. But I was very good at it. So I value so many houses. But anyway, we move on. So that was that. So on to new business. Junior staff then prepare the advert and begin hitting the phones physically on their head. It didn't say that. To meet their call targets and book in anyone and everyone who might be vaguely interested. Mm-hmm. Again, I've got a view on it, but you start with your point. It's a very good analogy.
So the database, so we've got X and X buyers waiting. Yeah. We know that junior estate agency staff primarily are there to make phone calls. Yeah. They have call targets. Some offices have a screen in them with the amount of minutes each staff member has spent on the phone. And the quality of what they're doing on the phone doesn't really matter. They just want to get their minutes up so their boss doesn't shout at them.
And the calls, they have to hit minimum 50 calls a day. It was always a standard against sort of corporate agents.
Yeah, and the viewings, it doesn't really matter if they're of poor quality, so long as the homeowners know that someone's going in the door.
Yeah. So I've got a few more little things to add to this point there. Yeah. So, yeah, you're absolutely spot on. So what I used to do when I was an egg, someone would phone up, negotiator for our people that don't know what a neg is. A negotiator. Someone would phone up to view number 10 Acacia Avenue. I was like, great, no worries, I'll get you booked in for that. What I'm going to do, though, I've got 2 other houses that are very similar just around the corner. Can you give me an hour of your time and I'll show you all 3? Fast clients were like, oh, can you send me the details? I was like, look, they're not ready yet. This is literally an exclusive. Come and have a look at them. We'll look at the Acacia Avenue. That's the one you want to see. We'll look at that one third. But these other 2 are going to be perfect for you. 2 reasons we did it. First was they see 3 properties. That's less time they're spending with other agents. They see 2 other houses that aren't as good and they want to buy Acacia Avenue at the end, so offer on that one. And then I've got those 2 houses that haven't had offers on. Call the clients up. Yeah, gone for something else, better value, cheaper, price down. It's so fucking bad when you talk about it.
It's smart. I mean,
clinical, isn't it?
I can see why
why agents have such bad names.
Yeah. Because it's just born from like what I call the baby boomer estate agent. You know, Clive Jones started 1 branch, he's grown it to 10 branches, and it has to operate that way for it to grow. Shambles.
But the processes were, we can't go to the next slide, we've got a call coming in, so we can continue to talk about this for a second. But the processes were very similar. I had a little secret I used to do. There was one agent I used to go up against on every single valuation, and he'd always turn around and say, I've got over 1,000 buyers on my database. And I knew he'd said it. He'd tell me he'd say it every time on a valuation. Clients, and I knew he said it. And they'd say, I've had Jack, his name wasn't Jack, but for this story it will be. I've had Jack round from that estate agent. Oh, great, okay.
Did he tell you about his 1,000 buyers?
And I said, and then as soon as I got to that section, I never talked about it unless he was going out. And I'd say, so I'm sure you've heard from other estate agents that they've got hundreds, sometimes thousands of buyers, okay? So we're all very, very busy. And if they're a good estate agent, they'll be dealing with a lot of people. That's awesome. But how can they possibly know every intricate detail of those 1,000 buyers? So my guys never have more than 50 buyers each. I've got 7 negotiators in my company, in my office. That's 350 buyers, but they all have 50 each. Because do you know why, Mrs. Jones? And they'll be like, no. It's like, because they know everything about them. They'll know if they love this house or not. They'll know it, rather than scattergun and book 1,000 in.
Very slick.
And they'll be like, yeah.
Very slick.
But then other people would go, that was my story. That's what I did.
But that's what's so funny about the perception of what an estate agent does. The fact that this guy has 1,000 buyers and this guy has 350.
Who's the better one?
Yeah, and so there's all of these buyers who are just sat there waiting for Ryan. Ryan's going to call me with a house next week, and not just looking on Rightmove for a house, which is what everyone does.
There we go. So anyone who might be vaguely interested, he then goes on. After a few weeks and several viewings later, the office manager will call Mr. Homeowner or Miss or Mrs. Homeowner, it doesn't have to be Mr., with the universal feedback that the price is too high. Mr., Ms. or Mrs. Homeowner then either adjusts their price or keeps the price the same. They can't do anything else since they're contractually tied in for at least another 14 weeks with the estate agent. We've touched a bit on that already in terms of how viewings work and feedback, but the price feedback's a key one.
Yeah, so would you say 2 weeks? Is that a fair amount of time?
Well, the reason it's 2 weeks for you lovely listeners and watchers, 2 weeks is normally that kind of golden time, because before that, if you sign a contract with an estate agent and it's in your own home, you have a 14-day calling off period. Again, letting all the secrets out now. We'd be sat in our boardroom in the meeting, and we had a big team. Like at one point, we had like 11 staff and 1 sales team. It was a big team, and we would go through our property list once a week and go, right, they're day 15, cool, reductions this week.
This really is confessions of an estate agent.
It is.
This really is.
And I'm really pleased I can talk about it now. And I have
freeing.
Now I have no idea. None of this happens ever again. But it's just how it has been for so many years.
It's good. That's why it's good to call it out.
I agree.
Why I wanted to write that post, just to actually.
I loved it, mate. I loved it. And for you that didn't naturally go through the same career as I did with my estate agency, it's literally word for word what happens.
Yeah.
It's almost identical.
Because
to me, added stories in it.
Well, to me, it was obvious that that's an immoral, crooked way of working. But if you're Mrs. Homeowner, you think, oh, okay, well, they're going to do it. They offer me this price. They'll do it for a cheaper fee than the next person. They don't even think about what 16 weeks means.
Yeah.
And if they need to move, if they don't need to move, it's like, well, we can wait 16 weeks, whatever. But if they need to move, which most people do, is when they put their house on the market, it's like 16 weeks, gotcha.
And that's the age-old thing, in that high price, low fee. Estate agents make a living on doing that because they know that 50% are going to sell. Whereas I ran, like my last office I ran before I joined and started my own business, and we'd have a 70-75% instruction to exchange ratio. It's unheard of. As in,
that's good.
Every 10 houses we'd list, 7 of them will exchange.
Yeah,
that's no crap. That is all good quality stuff. Just by being honest with people and not doing shit like this. This was when I worked in a different company, by the way.
Oh, I see.
Well, no, same company, just different era.
Right. Okay.
2014, 2015.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they're stuck in a 14-week contract at least minimum, and a notice period on the end of it as well, which people forget about. The process continues until the price is at a level where offers start to be made. These offers are typically managed by junior staff. Their commission on each deal is a tiny fraction of the total offer's commission, so the final price agreed is of little financial concern to them.
Yeah. So if you reduce the price enough, people will offer. If your house has been on the market for a month or 2 months and no one's offered,
it's too much money.
Even just as an experiment, reduce it by 20% and see what happens.
Yeah.
Even if you're not going to accept anyone, just do it as an experiment. But we all know once the price is low enough, people will start to offer. And the junior staff who are on... So in my first job, I was on 7% of office commission.
See, there's lower ones. So I've had staff on as low as 4% office commission.
Yeah.
But then some of our offices, respectfully to where you worked before, might have been doing a lot more business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
we did like 100 grand exchange months.
So I went for a couple of other job interviews. One was a bigger office and it was 0.08 of the office commission.
Wow.
Yeah, didn't take that job. And another one was 2%.
Yeah.
Didn't take that job either.
So I got paid 10% as a manager. 10%.
As a manager?
10% office com.
So for every...
every 100 grand we did, I got 10 grand.
Yeah.
And we did 500 grand in one of my years.
But if you put that into... So Mr. and Mrs. Jones are selling their house, 5 grand fee to you.
And that's me on 10%. So yeah, it's 500 quid worth to me. So if they sell for 500... or they sell for 475, that's 25 grand to them, it's 25 quid to me. 25 quid.
Yeah.
It's nothing, is it? And that's where the incentive comes.
Yeah, and 25 grand is, on a 500k house, is a,
realistic probably reduction in this marketplace. But is it acceptable?
The point is, you're a clever, if you genuinely can negotiate your client 25 grand more on a £500,000 house, that's quite an achievement.
You're worth the money.
But if you're on that commission, you probably don't care that much.
Exactly. And this is why I think low agents on low fees, like there's an agent where I am that's they charge 2 grand flat fees on a 400 grand house. So like 0.5%, sometimes including that. And I say, I'm not even gonna reason with the sellers. Like, if you want to use them because of that fee, like, please go and use them. I'm not interested. I'm not coming down anywhere near that level.
No.
But I said, I know that office. They've got 6 members of staff there. Okay, you're charging them two grand. Okay, cool. Probably after taxes, it's going to be about 1,800. Split between 6 people, it's 300 quid. The process is going to take 6 months. They're earning £50 a month from your sale.
Ridiculous. So
for 6 months. It's like, how incentivized are they going to be to actually get you the best price, or just get it off their books as quickly as possible?
Yeah, it's just, and especially when it's no sale, no fee.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter, does it?
Because what's
which is why you see so many, like, there's either houses that have sold in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or they've been on 6 months. Because once that first initial interest dies down, they don't care. They've got another 10 houses that come on the market since then. They're focused on those ones. They are not interested in Mrs. Jones sat there, 25 grand too much, She won't reduce the price. Cool, we'll see you in 4 months when your contract runs out. See if we care.
Yeah, and no homeowner accepts that they're paying less of a commission, so they'll get less of a service. I don't, I feel like I've worked all across the spectrum of like low fees, high fees now, and I don't think there's any homeowner who's like, oh, well, they didn't do this, provide me feedback on the same day or follow up or whatever. But then, to be fair, I'm only paying them 0.5%. No seller thinks like that, do they? No. It's just like, oh, well, they're shit because they did that. Not thinking, oh, well, maybe they're shit because they're so cheap.
I used to use this analogy, and I haven't done it for a while, so I'll try and remember it. I would say, right, you're driving to Manchester, you've got a big weekend plan, you're driving to Manchester, okay? You can choose an old 1987 Vauxhall Astra that's 150,000 miles on the clock, bald tyres, no aircon, just a really, really rough ride. Or, and I always use a brand new Jaguar like XF Saloon, okay? Top of the range, heated seats, double speed windscreen wipers, Bluetooth radio. I mean, it's the works. This is the day.
Both are going to get you there.
Okay, both. They're going to get you. You start at one point, you end at the other. They're going to get you to that destination. Hopefully, you're going to get there far quicker, in much more luxury, and have a far better experience in the Jag than you are in the old Vauxhall. That's if the Vauxhall doesn't break down on the way.
Yeah, it's quite.
That's the analogy.
Yeah, it's a good one actually. I do like that because you can move home with.
You can move home on your own. You don't have to have an agent. You can sell it yourself. It's just, and it might work for you. And that Astra, it might have been a nice, perfectly mild 14 degrees driving to Manchester in the Astra. You didn't need the aircon. You didn't need the heated seats, and it made it there no problem at all. You don't mind listening to the old radio anyway. Cool. Yeah. Somewhere like that, 9 times out of 10, that's going to break down. You can have a shit service, shit experience, and then you pull into the services halfway out the M1, and people look at your car and go, ugh.
Yeah.
But then if you're with her in the Jag, it was like, oh, hello, yeah, how are you doing?
And then that's a good
You
analogy.
can have that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to rewrite that in my head, and I'm going to use that again soon. So apologies if people watch this and then have me to value their house, and then they hear that analogy again. They'll know the answer. They'll know what I'm going to say.
I don't expect it. I mean, Ryan will stop you there. Anyway, carry on.
The offer then gets agreed, and Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner is introduced to the office sales progressor. They recommend a legal firm who have more open files than they can effectively manage, but pay the estate agent a kickback of £400 per case. Let's go for that.
So your sales progressor is now swooping into the deal. And bear in mind in this status I wrote that things get done. So offers get agreed, stuff happens.
Yeah, everything happens. It's just the process of selling a house doesn't change. It's just how it's dealt with at each section.
Right. And so the sales progressor comes in now. So you've dealt with the valuer on the appointment, you've dealt with the junior staff for the advert, probably someone else for the viewings, maybe someone else for the offer. Now your sales progressor.
And the branch manager to reduce the price, don't forget.
Yeah, so your 6 members of the office now you dealt with. Sales progressor comes in to progress your sale, probably doesn't know anything about the buyers and the legal or the solicitor referral.
Yeah. So sometimes that would be referred, so for ours, that the negotiator would be responsible for referring the fees. But you're absolutely spot on. And people don't always understand this. Most estate agents will get referral fees from the solicitor. Some solicitors, their fee might be £800, for example, their fixed cost, and then add-ons after. But they might be paying the agent £400 as well. So they're doing all the work for a third of the price they would normally do, because they're having to basically pay the estate agent to pass the referral. That's not good business. That's not good quality. And that's where a lot of problems come unstuck. As soon as I hear some solicitors, like we can name them, Premier Property Lawyers, Gorvins, My Home Move, like they're all just, My Home Move is PPL, I think. Anyway, there's volume conveyances, and it's like the Astra and Jag conversation. You might get a good conveyancer who might get it through, and you might have a house that's got no problems and you'll be absolutely fine. You're still going to be paying about the same. Or you get a world of problems, they don't know what they're doing, and your house fall through, and everyone fucking hates their lives.
And it's so easy with the legal process for 2 weeks to get added on for something so stupid. The person looking after your case is on holiday for a week, and then they lose the day either side of that because they're signing off and checking back in, and then something's taken 2 days longer in the post than it should have done, and 2 weeks there have just gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's bad, but it happens a lot, which is annoying. Any number of complications could arise here: survey problems, conveyancing issues, chain complications, land registry disputes, insufficient certification. Mr. and Mrs. homeowner are now completely stressed out and can't get anyone from the agency on the phone when they need them.
Yeah. So we're in the nitty-gritty stage now of the deal, where
so the final week before exchange sort of thing.
Yeah, or even in the 2 months before, when these inquiries are coming up, the buyer wants a second viewing, the survey's flagged up certain things, the seller's saying, oh, why does the buyer want that? And the buyer's saying, oh, why won't the seller do that? And you're just trying to get the agent on the phone to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with Lynn, the sales progressor, and you called her up on 10 o'clock in the morning.
It's always Lynn, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always there's a type.
What's the type?
There's nothing wrong with there being a type. Stereotypes exist for a reason.
What's the type? 50 to 60-year-old women, possibly divorced.
And credit to them, they're usually like a battle axe, which is what you want.
Yeah, they do, yeah. Oh, I've been at a estate agency 40 years, I have. Started as a negotiator. It's like the natural progression to end up in sales progression, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're no longer allowed on the front line. Sorry, mate, interjected.
But the nature of that role is you're kind of clocking in at 9 and you're clocking out at 5 and out for most times. But anyway, you call Lynn at 10 o'clock and you leave a message. She calls you back at 3 o'clock after her lunch, and you're then busy. So then you don't speak till the next day, and then you get and it's all of this like disjointed communication, and you're just trying to have a conversation about a survey or something.
I had this one recently, and I'm actually, because they are acts here, and I don't want to speak. We'll call this one Caroline. I left her a message saying, hi, I just need an update on this one. Like, we're super close to exchange. Can you just let me know if this has been done? She called me back and I didn't answer. Left me a voicemail saying, can you just email me and I'll give you the answer? Put the phone down. So, hello, Caroline, you fucktard.
Good speaking with you.
Yeah, thanks for your message back. It would have been quicker for you just to tell me the answer. Have we got this, and this? And then 5 minutes later, it's like, bang, yes, we have. Fucking praise the Lord, there we go. Sorry, we swore a lot in this episode, but I feel like passionate about this one.
Yeah, this is good.
But yeah, you can't get hold of people, and that's just a stage. Or you call. Remember that office guy that you first spoke to right back at the start of the process? You call them, say, I really need some help, and they'd be like, yeah, Lynn's dealing with it. She's on lunch.
Yeah, they're not going to give a shit.
Let me check the file. I'll get back to you.
They're not going to give a shit, and people don't understand. If you say to someone, look, if you're sat in their living room, in 3 months' time, you're going to be really, really stressed.
Yeah.
Because all of this stuff is more than likely going to happen, and you're going to be stressed, and you're not going to be able to get hold of your estate agent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I will be able to call them. I'll just go down to the office. And it's. I don't think people understand how stressful that part of the transaction is.
Yeah, and it almost. I think you sum it up in the final one here. By the time the contracts are ready to be exchanged, everyone involved is exhausted and fed up. The agency gets their commission. Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner finally sell their home after several price reductions and a much longer legal process than necessary. Cynical maybe. Next slide. Cynical maybe. There are loads of great agents out there, but the blueprint outlined above is far too common, and it's my life's work to change the game. Aww.
That was a sweet little touch in the end, wasn't it?
The little key emoji. Love that, mate. But you're right. Like, moving home should be, like we talked about it in pods before, and just general. It's a new chapter of your life. It's a massive change. You move house. When you buy your first house, I think the average is you buy 4 properties in your whole life.
Is that it?
Yeah, on average.
It's not very many, is it?
Yeah. Well, think about
like 6 or 7.
You're 30 now, and you're just selling for the first time to buy another one.
Yeah. I suppose.
And then, your next chapter of your life will happen. You could be there for 10 years, into your 40s, buy a bigger house. You're there for 30 years, into your 70, and then you downsize into retirement. Don't buy a retirement flat. Into your kids' annex.
Yeah.
That you built for
well,
them.
yeah, I suppose, yeah, 4.
So that's 5 moves.
Your first, yeah.
On average. That's the average. It doesn't, obviously people differ. But it should be a pleasant experience. It should be exciting. You get your keys to your new home. It's almost, I imagine dealing with some estate agents is like, this is going to be clickbait. Here we go. Dealing with some estate agents might be like a woman giving birth. Like the joy you get at the end of the baby or the joy you get at the end of moving into a house, you forget about all the pain before. And then in 5 years' time or 10 years' time when it happens again, you forget about all the shit they went through and you just focus on the house at the end and you forget all again. It's like they forget about how much pain they're in.
I like that analogy.
Is that going to be
I think that works.
It's a TikTok clickbait, isn't it?
I think that works, yeah. Giving birth, like moving house.
Put your comments below if you think it's the same. Women especially, do you think moving house is as painful as giving birth?
I think...
Not with us, it's not. Oh shit. Where are we going with this one?
Different kind of pain. I think it's always stressful. On every... How common is the phrase, as stress-free as possible? It's one of my bugbears, that phrase now.
Oh, I use it every time. Every appointment. My job is to make your life as stress-free.
Stress-free as possible. But the words "as possible" imply that actually it's
impossible.
There will be some level of stress here.
Yeah.
And I think there is. But someone said to me the other day, the other agent gave us a high valuation, is charging less, so why would I go with you? Turns out they didn't go with me. But it's the worst thing you can do is to put a high price and instruct an agent who's not being paid very much. I mean, I've been doing this 6 years, you've been doing it a lot longer. Like if I just look at all of the sales which have gone really, really well and really successfully, and all the sales which haven't, the commonalities is that these guys have priced it aggressively, paid a good fee, typically sold over the asking price, and moved probably 3 months quicker.
Paying for quality.
And these guys have gone on a really high price, had a really rough ride, maybe eventually they completed 6 months longer than they could have done.
Yeah.
And it's just the choice of agent and the initial price.
I just feel like I wish sometimes you could just tell, like, fast forward people in 3 months' time and like give them those split views. And, like, this is what it would have been with Ryan and Matt. This is what it would have been with a high street estate agent. Which one do you want? And they'd be like, Ryan and Matt.
I think that's also a trouble, isn't it, with what we do, is you can't like A/B test it.
No, you can't. And they're only judging you on face value. It's how good a salesman. You could be the worst estate agent in the world, but every office that's ever been successful has been led by one exceptional member of staff who happens to be the main valuer. Every office. Yeah. And that's why you see some offices, and ones I work with, some go like exceptionally high, incredible valuer, gets promoted to manager, drops off.
Interesting.
Ups and downs. And it is just because if you've got a good value, it doesn't matter how bad your agency is or how bad the staff are, if they can convince people to use them because of who they are and what they do, you're into a winner. It's not the right way of doing things.
Yeah, I think again this is where self-employed agency wins, because if I was say I was just really good at signing up business and nothing else, I'd take on a load of business and then be stuck with a load of houses.
You like that at Pebble Bricks?
Yeah. I maintain every one of my clients at Barrell and Ryan got fantastic value for money.
They did, yeah. I'm sure they did. There we go.
We've talked about them enough. I won't go into it.
Yeah, let's move on.
Right,
should we end the episode there? Because I think that's a little bit long. That's probably half an hour when we're supposed to be doing 15 minutes. But that's fine, no worries. That has been episode 31. I enjoyed that one. I felt that was an interesting one. Got some laughs. Going to get some sick reels from that. So keep an eye out for those on the gram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Facebook, everywhere you see social media. And obviously make sure you have a look at listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Or watch us on YouTube. Thank you.